From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello, welcome back to 1680 The Crow. I'm Abby Francis. Here is your 12 p.m. news. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says a new battery cell production plant is coming to Maple Ridge, BC. He says it will help produce up to 135 million batteries each year and will be the largest factory in Canada to make high-performance batteries. This announcement comes as part of Trudeau's government's push towards clean technology. The batteries being produced are lithium-celled and are commonly found in vacuums, medical devices, and other power tools. Construction of the new billion-dollar facility is set to start next June and will be completed in 2028. A BCIT student is helping others find affordable meals around the Lower Mainland through his website. Our reporter Caitlin No shares the story.
Second-year student Run Huang's Budget Eats website shows a list of restaurants around the Lower Mainland that have meals under $20. With the cost of living increasing, Huang says he hopes his site can help students save some money while still being able to dine out. Huang shared his site on Reddit where it gained popularity, with people sending him recommendations of restaurants to add to the site. So far, Budget Eats has over 70 restaurants listed, and Huang says he plans on continuing to add more restaurants and categories to the list. Users can filter by type of cuisine and city to find their next Budget Eats. Caitlin No, 1680 The Crow.
We are now joined by Caitlin No. So Caitlin, which subreddits did you post the site to?
So he posted it to the BCIT, SFU, UBC, and Vancouver subreddits, so it's more targeted towards students to use as a tool.
Okay. And is it just him is it just him running the Budget Eats website?
Yeah, for now it's just him, but he's planning to expand the site so that people can directly contribute, and that way it will be more up to date since he won't have to manually enter all the recommendations he gets.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Caitlin. We've got another campus story up next. BCIT's Winterfest is back, and our reporter Jarrison Orishin gives us an update on what to expect this year.
After a successful first run last year, BCIT's Winterfest fills the Great Hall with booths filled with holiday goods, early gift shopping, and warm snacks like cookies. There will also be a photo area where you're like at home on Christmas Day. Plus, there will be holiday music being performed and a crafts booth to create holiday cheer. Some products on sale at the festival include candles, clothes, tote bags, soap, and more. The Winterfest is a collaboration between the BCIT Student Association and Festivals Burnaby. It happens today in SE2 at the Burnaby Campus between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Jason Rochon, 1680 The Crow.
Canada's Mortgage and Housing Corporation released a new report which says even though seniors are considering downsizing as the age, a large group are choosing to age in their own home rather than just listed on the market. Reporter Emily Joveski has more.
CMHC says the usual increase of renter rates as cohorts age has been occurring later in life and is less pronounced than it used to be. That could be due to factors such as people living longer, households having more money than their predecessors, and relying less on property sales to provide for themselves. CMHC says policymakers should monitor trends in the coming decades to see whether aging in place could become more popular with seniors, or whether a rise in rental housing starts encourages more senior households to opt for renting. Emily Joveski, The Canadian Press.
The Alberta government received a review from former Reform Party leader Preston Manning about how the province handled COVID-19. Manning's report has over 90 recommendations, including that the Alberta Emergency Management Agency should be in charge of handling future disasters. He says the recommendations are approved. He thinks the Alberta disaster response could be one of the best in Canada.
Why can't it be the very best in the country? Why can't it be the very best on the continent? We ought to strive for that, and I think implementing a number of these recommendations will move us a long way towards that objective.
Another recommendation in the report called for more transparency in the government's decisions and mandated reviews around the entirety of a decision-making process. And now on to our international news. The U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping will be in a meeting today. The two presidents are expected to agree on military-to-military communications between the country's armed forces. Reporter Sigar Magani explains the situation.
A dozen years ago, ties between the Pentagon and Beijing were getting better.
Our military relationship is on a more positive trajectory.
That was Defense Secretary Robert Gates 2 years before China's top defense official visited Chuck Hagel at the Pentagon.
The General and I affirmed the importance of maintaining open channels of communication.
But relations have deteriorated, and the Pentagon's worried about a lack of communications with China amid a rise in incidents between their ships and aircraft. Today, the two presidents are expected to agree on restoring regular military-to-military communications, which the U.S. views as key to maintaining a peaceful Indo-Pacific region. Sagar Magani, Washington.
A horse escaped from its stall on a U.S. plane, which forced the pilot to divert the flight and land in the JFK airport in New York City. Reporter Julie Walker has the story.
The cargo plane chartered by Air Atlanta Icelandic had just taken off from JFK en route to Belgium when the pilot radioed into air traffic control, the audio captured by ATC Live.
The horse managed to escape his stall. We don't have a problem as of flying-wise, but we need to return back to New York. We cannot get the horse back secure.
The pilot had to dump 20 tons of fuel near Martha's Vineyard to bring the weight down and safely land. He also needed one more thing.
We need a veterinarian, I guess you call it, for the horse upon landing.
Yes, a vet, and I imagine a horse wrangler were there to meet the plane. Julie Walker, New York.
Israeli troops stormed into Gaza's largest hospital that was full of hundreds of patients. Reporter Georgiana Miller says some of these patients included newborn babies.
The lives of 36 premature babies hanging in the balance at Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital as fighting rages between Israel and Hamas right outside the medical complex. The preemies no longer in incubators. They stopped working Saturday when the hospital ran out of fuel. Doctors moving the babies to rooms where conventional heaters are trying to keep them warm enough. When the Israeli army entered the medical complex today, it delivered portable incubators, baby formula, and other supplies, and also offered to evacuate the preemies. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Now on to our sports news. The Canucks will be facing the New York Islanders and their former coach, Bo Horvat. This is happening at 7 p.m. tonight in the Rogers Arena. This will also be Horvat's first time back in the rink since leaving the team last year. Another hockey game happening tonight is the Seattle Kraken versus the Edmonton Oilers at 5:30. Nazem Kadri and Connor Zary both scored goals against the Montreal Canadiens, winning the Calgary Flames 2-1. This is a call from Sportsnet 690 when Zary made the score that broke the 1-1 tie.
Martin Pospisil looks cool with that tinted Alexander Ovechkin-style visor. Here's Pospisil, far side, Anderson centers, Zary scores!
The Winnipeg Jets, Nikolai Ehlers, scored a couple of goals which broke a 2-2 tie last night as well. Ehlers helps the Jets win a 6-3 victory against the New Jersey Devils. This is a call from Power 97 for when Ehlers broke the tie with his goals.
And he put it off the side of the net. He was maybe in a little too tight. Winnipeg will hold the line. Perfetti, high slot, near side. Ehlers shoots and scores!
Canadian bobsled skeleton champion Hallie Clark is coming back to Canada's team. Clark had originally left the Canadian team in 2022 when the group faced allegations of being a toxic environment. She then moved to the U.S. to join their team. That was until the Team Canada hired her old coach, Joe Cecchini. Now Clark is back in the Canadian skeleton team and will be in the first World Cup this season tomorrow night. In NBA news, at 4:30 tonight, the Boston Celtics will play the Philadelphia 76ers, and at 7 p.m., the Sacramento Kings will take on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers also played yesterday, winning their third straight victory. D'Angelo Russell scored 24 points, winning the team 134-107 against the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA tournament. This is the call as Russell made the three-point shot that got the Lakers the 171 lead.
Russell to Reeves. Reeves around a pick from Christian Wood. Dumps it into Anthony Davis. Top of the key, Russell, another three. Good again.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver recently named Drop Vancouver as a potential expansion city for the league. Our reporter Nathan Maley explains what bringing a team back to the city could do for the BC basketball community.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver gave some insight that another NBA team could soon be coming to Canada. Silver said Vancouver and Montreal were two cities with interest in hosting an NBA franchise, adding more speculation to the NBA possibly expanding after their current TV deal expires at the end of the 2025 season. Howard Samura, an ex-Vancouver Grizzlies reporter and founder of Varsity Letters, thinks a team is exactly what the basketball community in BC needs.
It's going to do everything. Like it is the shot in the arm that high school basketball, that club basketball, that the university scene needs.
Samura also urged fans to stay hopeful in hopes the NBA will notice that the city is ready for another crack at an NBA team. Nathan Maley, 1680, The Crow.
In Canadian football news, the 110th Grey Cup is coming up this Sunday. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in the tournament for their fourth year in a row. The Blue Bombers defensive lineman Willie Jefferson says the champion game never gets old because of the new players who join the team each year.
Most definitely. It's always different. The process is always different. Leading up to the game, and then, it's always fun seeing new faces and things like that, because like every year it's never the same guys. We have some same pieces, but it's always going to be some new guys on the team and things like that to make it different.
The Winnipeg team will take on the Montreal Alouettes in this Sunday's game. A man has been arrested in Britain because of the suspicion of manslaughter. Reporter Tom Rivers says this arrest comes in the death of U.S. hockey player Adam Johnson.
Adam Johnson died last month after a hit in which he was struck in the neck by an opposing player's skate. South Yorkshire police say a man remains in custody after being arrested. The 29-year-old American was playing for the Nottingham Panthers against the Sheffield Steelers. His death has sent shockwaves throughout the hockey world. He played briefly in the NHL.
Thanks for listening to 1680.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Well, another Halloween season has come and gone. As usual, it's time for spooky activities like carving pumpkins or trick-or-treating, traditions that have stayed relatively the same for over 100 years.
Costumes are another popular part of Halloween celebrations, but it's one of the few aspects of the holiday that have progressively changed over time, not only because of what might be trending that year, but also because costume cultural appropriation awareness has given us an understanding that some costumes need to be taken off the table completely. But sometimes the line between culture appropriation and culture appreciation can be fine and foggy. Hi, I'm Aaliyah Andres.
And I'm Caitlin No, and we're your hosts for the Culture and Costumes Navigating Boundaries podcast. And today we're diving into what makes or breaks a Halloween costume that portrays a different culture and how they've evolved over the decades. So let's start with how dressing as different cultures for Halloween began. The act of dressing in Halloween costumes in North America has been around for more than 100 years, and if people chose to dress up as a different culture, it was parts of traditions that had been stolen, stereotyped, or inaccurately represented.
Vivian Gosselin, who is the director of exhibitions and collections at the Museum of Vancouver, has seen many traditional costumes and belongings throughout her career, and says the Halloween costumes would always be made up of the same stereotypical depictions of a certain culture, because that's what society understood them to look like.
If you're copying or trying to represent a culture you don't know, you'll have to go with the lowest common denominator, right? Because very caricatured. It can't be subtle because people won't know, because we don't know those cultures. It's always going to be the same kind of reductive elements because people are like, oh yeah, they're trying to do the, the Sarah, princess, because we don't have a lot of references. When we start looking at the sourcing, how it came in to live in museum collections, we know that some pieces have been stolen. It was really about historically marginalized communities that, on top of that, didn't even have the agency of talking about their own stories.
But as time went on and costumes labeled Native American, Gypsy, or Egyptian that were formerly popular in shops started to be taken down, it became clear that the aim wasn't to represent traditional culture, but to use its stereotypes for profit.
Part of the discussion was it's not okay in gift shops, for example, to sell, Pocahontas costumes. We just told you who we are. This is like Disney that's trying to, create more merch and sending stuff without context. The idea that you can extract natural resources and cultural resource from all over the world, it's okay as long as you can sell it. And I think the costume is kind of in stores like that for sale. It's just one of those manifestations.
Aaliyah and I went to the streets of downtown Vancouver to see if we could find any costumes portraying other cultures. While most costumes we saw were popular movie characters, pop culture references, ghouls, or comedy related, we did find a few people dressed up in attire from cultures they didn't know a lot about.
It's Halloween night on Granville and Smythe Street in Vancouver, where there are crowds of people in costumes.
We are wearing a Sheikh's costume. It's called Twab. It's called Twab.
Do you know what culture it's from?
It's from Arab religion, I guess.
Okay. Is that your guys' culture?
No.
No? Okay.
No, we're just we respect all religions and we're just part of the festival.
So why did you pick this costume?
It was a last-minute one. On Saturday, I was a witch, and then it was a costume that I was supposed to wear today, but I didn't have my hat.
What is your makeup of? What are you supposed to be?
It's sugar flower.
Sugar flower.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's from
Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
the Dia de los Muertos, I believe.
Yeah. Do you know much about it, or was it kind of just
Sorry. Yeah. It's more random. Yeah, I took up, but I don't know. Yeah.
As we just heard, one person we talked to in downtown was wearing a costume of what she called a sugar flower. This is part of Mexican culture that is derived from the Day of the Dead celebration. we asked Lily Carvalho, the executive director of the Vancouver Latin American Cultural Center, about if it's ever appropriate to dress up as another culture as a Halloween costume.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think that, of course, everything is in the intention you put on it, but because you're out there in your costume, people will know if you're celebrating or mocking. And so that's why we should be careful. Your intention won't be clear when you choose your costume. So you really should, think twice.
So from what Lily just mentioned about thinking twice about a certain costume, that seems to be sticking with people. Owner Maureen Q from Disguise the Limit Costume Rentals in Victoria says the interest in costumes from different cultures have considerably gone down in popularity.
Absolutely renting less or none. People are unsure or they're just not comfortable not knowing if it's appropriate or not. So they just don't. So wouldn't be doing, any tiger lilies. Aladdin still, there's certain costumes that people don't associate necessarily with a culture. They associate with a childhood love of a character. So yeah, I think it's great that the conversations are happening, but definitely people are staying away from any ones that have a strong cultural reference that is not their own.
I think it was something probably every little kid has done at some point growing up, where they'll want to dress up as a character like Disney's Jasmine or another character from a beloved movie or person from history. But Aaliyah and I were having this discussion when researching for this project about if we should be giving a pass to children when it comes to character costumes from different cultures. This is what Vivian and Lily had to say.
I think it's okay not to have those costumes as a choice. You can be a plumber, like a princess, but it doesn't have to be that specific person from that specific place. If Pocahontas is not okay, I think it's not okay without understanding more context. I know it sounds maybe a little, it may seem a bit harsh in some ways, but I think there are different ways of exposing kids to different cultures. I think at one point it will go. I'm pretty sure people will start looking into it and say, there's so many other costume ideas. Like, people lack imagination. There's just so much stuff we can do, right? That's not about representing people we don't know.
Like, I cringe when I think that I dress as an indigenous person when I was a little kid back in Brazil, which was considered totally fine. And now there is a new better developed thought around that you shouldn't do that.
So, what conclusions have we come to after talking to different experts and researching this topic? Can we definitively say what kinds of cultural costumes are okay and the ones that are not?
It seems to be a couple of things in combination, but I think Lily does a really great job at summing it up with this quote.
You should do your own homework, and so try to learn more about other cultures. Be on the safe side of things and dress like a couple of friends of mine dress as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That won't have any cultural problem. And so if you can be creative in a way that you're not going to be risking offending someone, why not?
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us for Culture and Costumes Navigating Boundaries. My name is Caitlin No.
And I'm Aaliyah Andres. Look out for more episodes created by our students at BCIT Journalism and 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. Here are your news headlines at 12:30. I'm Kobe Smith. 100 police officers were sent out to a restaurant where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was dining last night, after the restaurant was surrounded by protesters chanting for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. Police say one man was arrested for assaulting an officer while another for obstruction while showing videos on social media. Sergeant Steve Addison says officers were sent out to control the crowd so Trudeau could leave the restaurant before 10 p.m. Addison says a 27-year-old man from Coquitlam was arrested after an officer was punched in the face. The officer was taken to the hospital. All BC residents should be prepared for a scheduled test of the National Alert Ready system this afternoon, happening on your cell phone, radio, and TV. The test message will read, "This is a test of the BC Emergency Alert System. This is a test. This is only a test." The test is scheduled for 1:55 Pacific Time. A BC man was ordered to pay the provincial government nearly $450,000 for firefighting costs and lost timber when he started the wildfire in 2019. Clark Matheson lit a 14-meter by 16-meter debris pile on a property that he owns in February 2019, thinking that snow around the blaze would work as a fuel break. But months later, there was a nearby grass fire from that fire, and the BC Wildfire Services had to respond. The Transportation Safety Board is following up on reports on a wake wreck from decades old plane crash has been found south of Kamloops. There was a statement from the board saying it has been made aware of the debris and has reached out to the Joint Rescue Coordinator Center in Vancouver and Kamloops RCMP. The Transport Canada confirms it happened at least 20 to 25 years ago. Almost 2 years to the day since the powerful rainstorms caused major flooding, destroyed homes, and tore up huge sections of the southern interior roads. The province say the repairs to the Coquihalla Highway are complete. A statement from the ministry says the bridges are built to withstand high water levels by using deep pile forgings and longer spans. There has been large rock protection has been added to the guard of the bridge supports. A Calgary man faces sex assault charges dating back to his time as a teen church leader. Calgary police say a man who worked along with children is facing charges. Vancouver-based Confor is shutting down the Polar Sawmill north of Prince George for at least 6 months. The company made the announcement yesterday, saying there is not enough nearby trees to keep the mill operating full-time. The company will evaluate the marketing conditions and the availability of nearby wood and says it will adjust its plans as necessary. But in the meantime, the 6 months of being shut down will remove about 140 million board feet of production. Aeroplan members can now earn points at Parkland gas stations. Reporter Nahan Hamid from the Canadian Press has more on the story.
The loyalty program run by Air Canada has been rolled out at over 1,000 Ultramar, Chevron, Pioneer, Fast Gas, and On the Run locations. Members will earn points on some fuel convenience store and Parkland gift card purchases. More opportunities to earn points and benefits will be available by linking Aeroplan and Parkland's rewards accounts. Aeroplan has recently added more loyalty programs in an effort to increase their
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hi there, my name is Isaac Newson and welcome to For the Record. Today I had the opportunity to talk to Bob Lenarduzzi, Vancouver Whitecaps legend, current club liaison, and National Soccer Hall of Famer. Bob and I touch on last season's success, next season's expectations, and what the fans of Vancouver can expect. So sit back and enjoy. Thank you. I'll start things off right away with kind of just a simple question, but one that I'm super interested in your answer in, and that's kind of after a season this year where things are kind of up in the air as to whether it's a success or we want more. What do you think kind of the answer is to that, and do you see it as a flat out success, or can we expect more kind of next season, and what did we feel about this year?
Well, the team took another step in the right direction this season. I don't think anyone would suggest that it's been a great year, in spite of the fact that we did accomplish a Canadian Soccer Championship and qualified for the playoffs early. Got to the second round of the League's Cup against the Mexican opposition. So all of those things combined, I think, are a reflection of the fact that we competed. And what I'm excited about is that I think the Axel Schuster and his coaching staff and recruitment staff, if it's not as though
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.